Breaking news coming in. Rahul Gandhi has attacked Prime Minister Narendra Modi in UK verbally. Rahul calls for foreign interference in India. Rahul says United States and Europe not doing enough. He goes on to say defenders of democracy are not doing enough. That's the latest coming in at the moment. Rahul sends out, he goes on to spell out issues during the London speech. Rahul says democracy dead, US and EU are oblivious. That's the latest coming in. He goes out to send a democracy SOS to the European Union and to the US, and it's a call for foreign intervention by Rahul Gandhi. Rahul also issues this particular call during his speech in London. He says democracy is dead and US and EU are oblivious and they are unmoved owing to trade pesa. Open call for outside interference by Rahul Gandhi. The latest coming in at the moment. Where are the democracy defenders? That's what Rahul is asking.
So the surprising thing is that the so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States, European countries, seem to just be oblivious that a huge chunk of the democratic model has come undone, right? Which is a real problem. With regards to, and frankly, the opposition is fighting that battle, right? And it's not just an Indian battle. It's actually a much more important battle. It is a battle for a huge part of the democratic people on this planet. As I said, the opposition has placed a vision on the table, and that vision is an inclusive vision. It's a vision of bringing people together.
Europe, right?
So the surprising thing is that the so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States, European countries, seem to just be oblivious that a huge chunk of the democratic model has come undone, right? Which is a real problem. With regards to, and frankly, the opposition is fighting that battle, right? And it's not just an Indian battle. It's actually a much more important battle. It is a battle for a huge part of the democratic people on this planet. As I said, the opposition has placed a vision on the table, and that vision is an inclusive vision. It's a vision of bringing people together.
Is coming in at the moment. Rahul going out to send a democracy SOS to United States and the European Union together. He calls for foreign intervention, and this is his London speech that we're bringing to you at the moment. Here Rahul Gandhi says democracy is dead and US and EU, that is European Union, are oblivious. Lavina Tandon is now joining us for the latest on this. Lavina, if you could walk us through the points that were raised by Rahul Gandhi in London, because there is of course a lot of flack that he will be facing on the back of these comments from the ruling party in India.
While speaking to the diaspora here in London, Chaiti, he did insist again on the fact that democracy is being crushed, that the wealth is being concentrated in one hand. There is unemployment and all the stuff that he has been saying. But he also, in addition to what he has been saying, he was insistent. He was thanking the diaspora for being respectful, and he reiterated what he has sent in in Bharat Jodo Yatra, and the idea was to share the experience of Bharat Jodo Yatra. That's what people had come to hear about, which is that it's a fight between respect and disrespect, and love and hatred, and cowardice and courage. And of course, it's going to be here. People turned up in big numbers to listen to what his vision was. That was not very much shared, but of course, his experience of Bharat Jodo Yatra is the one that formed the main crux of his speech to the diaspora here in London. I've been moved out actually from the hall by a very insistent security staff, so I have to kind of move out. But yeah, this was the main crux, where he was in here when speaking to the diaspora was more speaking about the Bharat Jodo and to the diaspora, while when he spoke to the Indian Journalists Association, he touched upon China, touched upon Adani, touched upon democracy, and also one very important point, that he did not say no to the fact that he could be standing as the Prime Minister candidate, which was my question to him. He said that's not yet come up for discussion. So yes, Chaitri.
So he is not averse to standing up for the Prime Ministerial as a Prime Ministerial candidate, but the question here is on the opposition unity as well, and the question here is whether the Congress has its ducks in a row when it comes to them as an opposition political party in India, and whether they have their relevance or not after the debacle that we saw the last time around. Circling back to his speech that he made, some rather interesting points he's brought up. There are some controversial statements that he has made as well. What can you tell us a bit about his attack on Adani? All right, hold on right there. We're getting some more breaking news coming in. I'm coming back to you, Lavina, on this. Rahul Gandhi has slammed centre in the United Kingdom. Rahul says respect for each other destroyed in India. He says centre does not allow the concept of opposition. Chinese are inside our territory. We are not allowed to raise it in the parliament. Lavina, one point that he brings up is one, of course, about the centre not allowing the concept of opposition, but, you know, the opposition unity in India as it stands is lacking. We all know that. But the other point he says is Chinese are inside our territory and we're not allowed to raise it in the parliament. And if you could expand further on this point that he brought up.
Indeed, he not only mentioned China and the fact that Chinese have entered India. He claims and alleges that Chinese have entered India, and the Prime Minister has denied that fact. And he also touched upon production in India versus China, and how India with the West could actually stand together to combat the concentration of manufacturing and production in China. This he did in Cambridge because he had close meeting with the MBA and the Justice in the Law School, and he also spoke about that and touched upon that in the IJA event as well. Though he did not mention any of that here in the diaspora meet, surely he will be mentioning that.
Shehzad now joining us. Shehzad, Rahul Gandhi says, and I quote, that so-called defenders of democracy like US and Europe are not doing enough to restore democracy in India. And he says that it may be because of the trade and money that they are getting, but they are not doing anything to reset democracy in India. My question here is, why should those countries interfere at this point of time?
This statement is absolutely a betrayal of the idea of India's sovereignty, unity and integrity. The fact that you seek intervention of a foreign power to intervene in your thriving democracy, the world's largest democracy, is nothing short of betrayal. And this is not the first time Chetty has done this. You remember that he had once appealed to Nicholas Burns that the United States should get involved in Indian democratic matters. We may have our differences, we may have our problems, but we are fiercely independent, and we need no imperialistic or foreign powers to intervene in our democracy. In fact, today is a situation that even Britain needs an Indian origin person to guide their democracy. This only betrays the sense of inferiority complex that Rahul Gandhi has, and perhaps he thinks that all things that white men do is the most sacrosanct, and therefore he's seeking the intervention of one. But it is extremely unbecoming of an Indian member of parliament to seek foreign intervention into issues which are Indian, and perhaps it only betrays that in Vyakti Virod, how this person has now gone down to doing Desh Virod, And
No,
to what
absolutely.
extent
Shehzad, you know, calling for foreign interference seems to be a bit of a stretch on Rahul Gandhi's part at a foreign a forum of this nature. But here, he also, one question, and in isolation I'm asking you, is he brought up was we are not allowed to raise the Chinese issue in the parliament. How would BJP respond to that part?
You know, Chaiti, that is a completely separate issue. No issues of sensitive national security implications are traditionally discussed in Parliament. This was true for the 26/11 attack. It was true for a whole range of, I think, at least 10 or 15 issues during the UPA regime that was not discussed in Parliament, except a statement was made in Parliament, just like the statement was made for China, because it includes issues about your troops, it includes issues about your sensitive disclosures of, you know, your movements, etc., and therefore those are only laid out in a statement. This is parliamentary procedure as per the rules and norms. So otherwise, day and night, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is raising the China issue in every platform that is available to him in a democracy. So to say that that is the reason why he wants intervention of United States and Europe into Indian democracy, it makes absolutely no sense. It only shows that what level Rahul Gandhi has reached today. Once upon a time, his own grandmother used to say that, you know, she does not want foreign powers intervening in India. And here you have Rahul Gandhi almost begging for somebody to intervene in Indian democracy as if he doesn't trust the wisdom of the Indian people. And for the sake of one Vasti Virod, he is down to doing Desh Virod. What next? Seek Chinese intervention? Seek Pakistani intervention? I don't know where this stops.
Shehzad, thanks for your quick comment right there. I'll let Congress party spokesperson respond to Shehzad Poonawalla on the points that he has just made. But just to re-encapsulate what really happened, Rahul Gandhi makes a scathing attack on the Indian government, on India, on democracy. He says the so-called defenders like US and Europe are not doing enough to restore democracy in India. The question that BJP asks is whether and why we need a foreign interference in matters pertaining to India domestically.